Title: My boss sacked me for being too costly after 18 years leading the tech crew. We can hire 3 rookies for your pay, he sneered in my exit meeting. Nothing personal, just budget trimming. I gave a calm nod, wished the team well, and cleared my desk without a fuss. His frantic calls started soon after. When? Chapter 1. The close of a chapter. 18 years. That's how long I'd devoted my heart and soul to that company, outlasting the lifespan of some of our youngest trainees. I'd grown the tech division from a cramped nook in the back office into the core of the company's innovation engine. Deadlines, patents, client emergencies, and all-nighters for product launches. I'd weathered them all. So when I saw the calendar invite labeled HR discussion mandatory, a chill ran through me. The meeting room carried the faint scent of stale coffee and cheap air freshener. My boss, Leonard, sat at the table's head, flanked by Sarah from HR, who avoided my gaze. Leonard leaned back, hands clasped over his belly like a monarch dismissing a faithful general. "Mark," he started, his tone coated in practiced sympathy, "you've been a vital part of our family, but after thorough evaluation, we're eliminating your role." I sat motionless. He pressed on. "It's simple math. We can bring on 3 entry-level engineers for your salary. Nothing personal, just budget cuts." Sarah slid a termination packet across the table. Severance details, legal jargon, and a printed thank you note with a forged signature. I offered a faint smile. "I understand completely," I said. "No ill will." I packed up my belongings, a photo of my late wife, my trusty fountain pen, and a mug that read "World's Most Overworked Fixer**, a nod to my knack for saving projects in chaos. Leonard didn't bother to see me out, but I wasn't bitter. I had something Leonard would never grasp: patience, foresight, and a silent backup plan I'd cultivated for years. As I shut my office door for the last time, I murmured, "Let the clock start ticking." Chapter 2, The Seed I Sowed. They overlooked the seed I'd planted. I didn't head home right away. Instead, I drove to a humble office building on the city's east side, one most at the company didn't even know existed. A small sign on the door read Steelcore Innovations, Private Tech Consulting **. It wasn't glamorous, no sleek glass walls or flashy logos, but its strength lay beneath the surface. Steelcore was my creation. 3 years earlier, after Leonard dismissed yet another of my alerts about weak client data safeguards, I knew I needed an exit strategy. I quietly filed the paperwork, set up the LLC, and assembled a lean team of top-tier freelancers who valued trust, discretion, and skill. We never stole clients. We didn't have to. We simply fixed the disasters others left behind, earning a tidy profit in the process. I stepped inside, nodded to Marcy, my trusted deputy, and settled at my desk. "Did it go down?" she asked, reading my face. I nodded. "Exactly as we predicted." "Leonard called me too pricey," I said. Marcy scoffed. "That fool doesn't see you were the only thing keeping half his deals from collapsing." "That's why we're letting them collapse now," I replied coolly. I opened my laptop, navigated to a secure folder, and clicked a file labeled Contingency Plan. Protocols, Risks, .docx, because here's what Leonard missed. In his rush to slash expenses, he never grasped how brittle his systems were, especially since I'd built most of them and flagged their weaknesses repeatedly. I never tampered with anything. That would have been wrong. But I meticulously recorded every flaw I'd raised and was told to ignore. Every security gap, every regulatory violation, every shaky fix held together by hope and duct tape. And now, I was ready to share that truth with those who'd care most, his investors, his clients, and the oversight agencies. Marcy handed me a coffee. "Wednesday still the day?" she asked. I grinned. "Yep. Call it Freedom Day **. Chapter 3, The Panic Sets In. Wednesday morning, I was in my home office, feet propped up, coffee in hand, when the first email hit. Subject: Critical Alert. System Vulnerability Detected * from SafeNet Compliance, addressed to Leonard Green, CEO. I'd BCC'd myself for a reason. SafeNet was the firm I'd recommended years ago when Leonard's systems nearly buckled under a data leak. I knew their director well, as Steelcore now handled half their backend solutions. This time, though, I'd sent them a detailed report of all ignored vulnerabilities, complete with time-stamped memos, emails, and screenshots. Not sabotage, just long overdue accountability. I didn't need to pick up the phone. By 9:30 a.m., Leonard had called me 6 times. I let it ring. At 10:15 a.m., Marcy texted, "He's here flushed and sweating, asking if we'd consult short-term." I responded with 3 words. "He can't afford us." Because now, Leonard's top client, Vanguard Systems, a multi-million-dollar defense contractor, was threatening to yank their contract over insecure system protocols. The same ones I'd warned Leonard about 3 times in 2 years. The ones he refused to fix, saying, "If it's working, don't mess with it." Well, it wasn't working anymore. It was crumbling. Worse, that system held data for 5 other major clients, 2 under federal regulation. One breach, even a potential one, meant months of audits, possible lawsuits, and frozen projects. By noon, I was sipping tea when Leonard texted, "Mark, please, I don't know what's going on, but I need your help. You were right, let's talk." I read it, set my phone down, and smiled. Because what Leonard didn't know was that Vanguard Systems had signed a discreet deal with Steelcore the day before. They'd decided within hours of receiving my report, which included a professional plan to secure their entire infrastructure in 30 days. Their only stipulation: no further ties with green tech. I leaned back, watching the storm brew. Leonard had bet on slashing costs, but now the invoice was arriving. Chapter 4. The fallout. Thursday morning, a headline broke. Vanguard Systems severs ties with green tech after data scare. Sources cite insider report triggering audit. It landed like a grenade. By 9 a.m., 3 more green tech clients had contacted their lawyers. The company's stock, already shaky, tanked 19% before the market opened. Leonard, he was scrambling, calling an emergency board meeting. I knew because Marcy, ever loyal, texted, "Crisis meeting in conference room 4. He's blaming it, yelling about sabotage. It's chaos." I wasn't shocked. Leonard's talent was dodging responsibility, his flaw, assuming everyone else was too dim to notice. But this time, the board wasn't fooled. Because when I left Green Tech, I'd sent the board a final courtesy package, a collection of every security warning, risk assessment, and denied budget request I'd submitted over 4 years. All ignored, all time-stamped, all acknowledged by Leonard. The kicker, screenshots of his own words like, "Security's just scaremongering, we can't waste funds on hypotheticals." So when he stormed into that boardroom Thursday, pointing fingers at IT, they were ready and livid. At 10:40 a.m., a blocked number called. I let it go to voicemail. Moments later, Marcy texted, "He's out as CEO, effective immediately." Audits launched. He tried to leave, but lawyers were waiting. I exhaled, like I'd finally shut a door on a chapter that had weighed on me too long. But it wasn't over. As Leonard was escorted out, flanked by 2 board members and a legal rep, he realized the truth. The rookie engineers he'd hired to replace me, they'd quit the previous day. 2 of them, fresh graduates, were now trainees at Steelcore. The third, he stood outside Green Tech's glass doors, holding a Steelcore-branded laptop, watching Leonard walk by. "Welcome to your new world, boss," I whispered to myself. The best part, Leonard had no clue what was coming next. Chapter 5, The Legal Battle. By Friday, Green Tech's legal team was in full panic. Leonard's reckless choices had cost the company $130 million in lost contracts in just 48 hours. But the real tempest was brewing, quietly, legally, and with precision. A storm I'd prepared long before my last day. Leonard hadn't just terminated me. He'd done so after years of ignoring critical warnings, breaching cybersecurity standards, and crucially, violating federal data protection laws by dismissing my compliance reports. 2 years ago, I began documenting everything, not out of spite, but to protect myself from the fallout of his negligence. So when Steelcore's legal team asked if I'd act as a confidential whistleblower consultant for Green Tech's upcoming FTC audit, I agreed without hesitation. The lawsuit hit that Monday. Steelcore versus Green Tech et al., alleging data mismanagement, breach of confidentiality agreements, and executive misconduct during merger talks. Yes, merger talks. Steelcore had once offered to buy Green Tech. Leonard laughed it off, mocked it, then used sensitive details from those talks to try outbidding Steelcore on a government contract using our proprietary systems under NDA. A colossal error. Now, Steelcore had every legal right to drag Leonard and Green Tech through a grueling court fight. The rookie engineers he'd hired? 2 provided sworn statements, citing pressure to falsify project timelines and backdate performance data. Within 10 days, Leonard's personal accounts were frozen, his severance package was halted, and the board issued a public statement disowning his actions and pledging cooperation with the legal process. Me? I didn't care for fame. I didn't want praise, I just wanted calm. But one message stopped me cold. An anonymous email, 1 line, "Was it you?" No sender, I knew it was Leonard. I stared at the screen, then replied, "You brought this on yourself." I just ensured everyone saw it. Then I closed my laptop and stepped outside into a morning that finally felt unburdened. Epilogue: The Cost of Hubris. 6 months later, I was sipping coffee on the deck of a serene coastal home, far from corporate madness. No ringing phones, no emergency fixes, just the sound of waves and the gentle thump of my rescue dog's tail on the wood. Green tech, effectively gone. The FTC slapped them with a $45 million fine. Leonard and several executives were banned from C-level tech roles for a decade due to gross negligence and unethical conduct. The stock crashed, investors fled, and the board sold the company's remnants to Steelcore of all places. Leonard bankrupt within months, his house repossessed, his car collection sold off, his reputation irreparably broken. Last anyone heard, he was renting a small apartment outside Cleveland, teaching basic programming online under a fake name. The arrogance that once dripped from his words was now a faint memory, buried under legal fees and shattered pride. As for me, Steelcore honored our consulting deal generously, but beyond the money, they gave me something deeper: respect. They brought me in quarterly to train executives, sought my advice on new systems, and quietly credited me in their latest tech white paper. No social media fanfare, no interviews. Just the quiet pride of dismantling a tyrant, not with anger but with logic, not with noise but with patience, precision, and evidence. Some build legacies with bravado, others do it with quiet resolve. When Leonard thought he'd crushed me, he didn't see I was already behind him, ready to let him bury himself. Was this justice well earned? Share your thoughts below. Like this tale, pass it to someone who needs its fire, and follow Lauren's stories for more gripping accounts of betrayal and reckoning. Because here, every deception meets its judgment, and every betrayal finds its shadow. Stay sharp, stay resilient, and stay tuned.